Well, hello there, guys. So, I have gotten myself a few ideas for some videos, as you can see. So, I want to talk to you guys about, which weapon is best when I'm trying to get myself a weapon, right? So, generally, guys, as have been always saying, if I'm plagued by a question at some point, I'm thinking, some of you guys also might be plagued by that question. So, after I manage to find the answer, uh, I make a video so no one else gets plagued by what I have been. So in this video, guys, I am going to talk to you about, as I said, which weapon is best when you are trying to get yourself a weapon. And I'm talking about the kind, right? Not the literal best weapon, but obviously the mirrored copies are the best, but I'm talking about which kind of weapon you should be going for. So, the thing is, guys, the first thought that pops into your mind would be probably, right? It was mine. Need to get the one with the best implicit. But the thing is, guys, this is GGG we are talking about. So, sadly, that is not the right answer always. Why? Because having a nice implicit means the weapon will be much, much worse, or much worse, depending on which weapon it is, for having that implicit, right? The weapon is punished and lose a lot of damage compared to their fellows for having that nice implicit, right? So the most obvious and blatant example for that is, I believe, two-handed maces, right? Let me try to show you. So guys, I just did a white mace search for higher levels. Take a look at this, guys. Fanatic Great Hammer, and take a look at the level requirement. This is one of the top hammers out there, and take a look at its DPS, right? So this is only white, right? 132 DPS, right? Pretty low. And let me just go scroll a little below. You'll see something surprising here. And take a look at this. As I said, top level strength requirement, top level requirement, right? This is one of the top maces in the game, supposedly. Now, and so this guy has 133, but take a look at this. Take a look at the level. So this is not the best kind of the small, right? So these were, if you recall, basic, advanced, and expert. So this is an advanced item of season 0, right? So the superior version of this is called Sacred Maul. And take a look at this. Not the Sacred Maul, but its weaker version is better than Fanatic Great Hammer, right? And this is Ruination Maul or something like that. So this is again its lower form, and these have better damage. And now imagine how much more are the top versions gonna have. And Heavy Great Hammer, this is the Massive Great Hammer's version. This is the one with the best damage. And now let me go to top. Let me go for this. So Massive Great Hammer is the best hammer there is with 185, but it doesn't have any implicit, as you can see, right? But it has 185 DPS, which means the best hammers will be Massive Great Hammers. But let's scroll down a little. I want to show you something. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Okay, so take a look at this, guys. Ironwood Great Hammer, right? This is, and take a look at this. It has a very nice implicit, right? It has 30 to 50% increased stun build up while having, not even 10% less, right? Damage than the best hammer there is. So these two would definitely be the sweet spot, right? Massive Great Hammer and Ironwood Great Hammer. While Fanatic Great Hammer has the best implicit by far, its damage is like almost 50% worse than the top hammers out there. So while the implicit is very good, it's worthless because its damage is very bad, and therefore you can hardly reach 1000 DPS or whatever it is. So for the maces, it would be Massive Great Hammer, Ironwood Great Hammer, and of course if you get really good rolls, the hammers, Sacred Maul, Ruination Maul, these are also fine. Ruination Maul has actually a decent looking implicit, but the problem is, if you have played Warrior, you will know this. because our weapons are slow, we are not swinging very fast, and therefore we cannot afford our moves to be dodged. So we go for the keystone passive that is called resolute technique, right? It prevents us from getting evaded, but it also means that we do never deal critical hits, which means, that implicit is useless. I mean, you could play maybe a special build that it could be, making some sense, but generally it's going to be worthless. And as you can see, I'm using a massive great hammer myself. Yeah, but as I said, ironwood great hammer is pretty nice, right? But in the course of this video, I have to say this: the problem is if the item has a decent implicit and also its damage is not much worse compared to its fellows, right? Compared to crossbows, compared to, I don't know, bows, right? Then the problem is the item will be overly popular and its prices will be insane, right? That is another problem. So, for example, guys, for bows, Gemini bow, I'm sure you are familiar with, right? It's the expert dual string bow from patch 01. Fires an additional bow, right? It's extremely good. Its damage is also acceptable compared to the other bows, but those are, very, very popular and very expensive. So, for example, guys, let's say you try to get a 500 DPS regular bow, you can get it as low as, like 1 divine on a good day, and Gemini bow with 500 DPS. I mean, let's just take a look. Gemini bow 500 DPS. You see this? 15 divine. And I'm telling you, you can get 500 DPS bows for 1 divine, right? On a good day. Let's say on a non-good day, it will be 2 divine. See? No, not exaggerating. Take a look at this. 536 DPS for 1 divine. And if you want a Gemini bow, right, you can get that for 15 divine. Small difference. By the way, I see myself here. Okay. So, guys, what can you do to dodge that, right? Because, that's very unacceptable in my eyes. So, what you can do is you can do this. You search for a bow for 500 DPS and then you do a weighted sum here, right? Additional arrow. Okay, so you look for an additional arrow. You look for implicit additional arrow. And you also look for corruption, right? Enchants are corruptions. And you say 1 here. So what this will do is it will look for bows that are firing an additional arrow from their implicit like Gemini bow, or as any explicit like a bow receiving an affix, or has been corrupted to do the same thing. And sadly, it sadly has not gone down, right? But sometimes it could help you, right? And just to show you that the search works well, why can't I find it? See, guarding bow, guys. But this does have fire 2 additional arrows, which is insanely good, of course. So yeah, you could run this kind of search. It could help out, but I'm guessing there are other people that are chasing this. But still, guys, I'm gonna show you this. This is still profitable. Why? Because take a look at this, guys. If you want a Gemini bow that fires additional arrow, you have to pay 15 divine, and what you are getting is a barely 500 DPS item. Take a look at this. This is 530 DPS. Huge difference. I mean, take a look at how much we have to pay for a 530. 33 divine. versus 15 divine, right? And they are doing the same thing. I mean, of course, there could be some differences. Yeah, this has nothing on it that's special, as you can see, right? Grants 3 life per hit, 12 and these are nothing. And let's take a look at this one. This also has deck step, right? This just takes that item out of town. So the thing is, if trades were a little more lively, I would have bought this and, would have sold this, but also there is a bit of a problem in which. So if I was doing the shopping for me, I would definitely have bought this. But if I'm looking to flip, this is not very good because there will be not too many people that will be thinking about, a corruption, adding that enchant of firing an initial arrow, right? So while this is worth, 30 divine, as I said, not many people will be looking for it, so you will have a hard time selling this. But of course, this valuable item, some people will think of it. Anyway, let's not get sidetracked. So what else do we have? We have talked about bows. We have talked about two-handed maces. One-handed maces are not being used. I don't think it's even worth discussing, right? This season, sadly, they are kind of nothing. Crossbows, any of the high-end crossbows will do. Okay, let's take a look here. Item category crossbow, normal, requires level 52 or higher, right? I think that is. Yeah, I mean, Desert Crossbow, this is my expensive crossbow, so this has the best DPS, as you can see, 158 DPS. Let me also do this. There is a crazy guy that is selling millions of these. Okay. Yeah. Then we have Cannonade Crossbow, and of course, guys, and take a look at this, by the way. Huge. Sorry. My mistake. I'm sorry. I didn't do the. Okay, now it's gonna make more sense. So Desert Crossbows are at the top, right? 158 DPS. Because I thought the jump was a little bit too steep. Now we can go. And so, for example, if you use anything that utilizes the implicit, then of course it could be better for you, right? So for example, this flex crossbow has increased bolt speed. So I'm not really sure. So there is a note, guys. This will be probably not used, but there is a note that says, increases and reductions to projectile speed affect your damage. So that is in the middle of a bow note. So if you are using a crossbow, you wouldn't get that. But theoretically, I don't know if this affects that, right? So I mean, if you have that node, right? So for example, you anoint that node, right? You instill that node into your amulet. I don't know if this will trigger it because it says increase and reductions to projectile speed. So bolt speed is not strictly projectile speed, right? Bolt is a subset of projectiles. I don't know if it interacts. It could and it could not, right? But if it does, for example, this could be better than that, right? Because their damage is almost the same. So if you can get that, that's gonna be useful. Of course, siege crossbows are pretty good if you are playing grenades. I don't think there are not too many people. There are too many people that play grenades this season, but if you are, it's definitely good. Then there will be the ammunitions reload and additional projectile Gemini. Yeah, this is pretty good. So if you are playing, for example, explosive shot or something like that, that it loads only a few rounds of ammunition, right? This makes an insane difference. So this would, definitely be superior. So for example, galvanic shards that load 7. So in that one, you will be loading 8. That wouldn't be mattering too much. But explosive, I think loads only 1, right? This kind of is required there, right? This would definitely be of use there. So you could go for this one. But if you are just going for the pure plain damage, the guy at the top, Desolate crossbow is the best. What else do we have? We have quarter staves. Quarter staves, there are a lot of different implicits. Some of them provide, block chance. Some of them provide elemental damage as their type of damage. Yeah, so yeah, bolting. So as you can see, guys, funnily enough, this is pure lightning damage. So while this has top DPS, it's not a very good staff because you know the best prefixes which amplify physical damage don't actually work there, right? Yeah. So for physical, we have Razor. This is being used. There is the attuned quarterstaff, I believe it was called. There is a one with block chance that was getting used. And of course, you don't have to take this agenda to the max, right? You are searching for something. You just get the best one that you can get your hands on. But in the case of Fanatic Great Hammer, it's a lost cause, right? I mean, you shouldn't taking a look at Fanatic Great Hammer. Oh, that's a great mace. I should get myself one. You won't be able to get yourself one because the damage will suck beyond logic and measure, right? That's the worst one there is by far. So yeah, about course that's that. For spears, guys, so spears are mostly used for lightning spear, and there is one spear that outshines most of them. A Seaglass spear, that's what it's called, has a base crit chance of 10%, while the other staffs have the spears have a base crit chance of 5%. Makes a huge difference, right? So generally, people go for Seaglass spears, right? Take a look at this: 5% crit chance, 5% crit chance. See, spiked is 6.5. Why does it not show? I mean, Seaglass spears are. Is it because of the requirement? Ah, yes, there we are. Ah, it requires level 51. My fault. Yeah. So this is the most popular spear out there, right? Yeah, damage. I mean, of course, if you are not going for a 100% crit chance, you could go for ground spear as well. But the 10% base crit chance is actually pretty important because those crit chances in the tree that you see are giving you crit chance based on your base crit chance, so they would be giving you more, right? The crit chance increasing by some modifiers on the item does not get taken into account like that, right? The base crit chance is the thing that matters. So for example, as if you have a base crit chance of 10% on your spear and you allocate a notable that gives you 20% crit chance, that will mean that node will give you 2% crit chance. Why? Because 20% of 10% is 2%, right? But if you are using a ground spear with 5% crit chance, then that will give you 1% because 20% of 5% is 1%. You have to take that into account. One of the important things then when you are going for spears. For staves and wands, it's pretty simple. For wands, it's chiming staff by far because the implicit skill that's granted by it, it's insanely powerful. Sigil of power, right? You do it on the ground, you open an area, and in that area you gain spell power while you spend mana. Yeah, so chiming is by far the best. For wands, it will vary, right? What kind of skills you want, but general siphoned, attuned, or acrid, these are pretty good. Those three can roll +5 to all skills. Let me phrase that correctly. So they can +4 spell skills can be rolled by anyone, right, at the top level. But +5 to specific schools can be rolled by certain wands and not all of them. So there is a fire wand that rolls +5 fire. There is a chaos wand that rolls +5 chaos, etc. But those three that I named, Siphon, Attuned, and Acrid, I believe are able to roll anything. So you just go for +5 something that you can. The implicit skills granted by them are going to be worthless. For scepters, you do not want the minion summoning ones if you can, because if they are granting you an aura, that sort of thing, you can place spirit requiring support gems in those auras at no cost, right? They are beautiful, right? For example, you have a wand that gives you brilliance, you have a wand that gives you, I don't know, purity of fire. go into it, right? I can show it to you here. I have it. For example, you have Sacred Flame that grants you Purity of Fire, right? And take a look at my Purity of Fire, guys. 10, 25, 35. There is a 50 spirits worth of spirit gems in here, and I'm paying 0 spirit for them. Right, let me show you. See, no change. I had 45 spirit beforehand. I have 45 spirit again. Right, it doesn't matter. It doesn't cost anything. So why do I diss the Skeleton Rising one? Because Skeleton Rising one cannot have these socketed into it, right? But as far as I know, all of the others, Malice, Brilliance, Purity of Fire, you can socket that stuff into it. So you should be going for one that's not that kind. I believe it was called Rattling. So you should be going for one that's not rattling. So yeah, I think that's about it. This is not a huge deal, but you know, I want to warn you about not getting too trapped by the implicits, right? I mean, if you can get a Gemini bow for 15 divine at 500 DPS, and if you can get a regular bow at 500 DPS for 1 divine, I would definitely suggest going for 1 divine and letting off that arrow, right? I mean, it's not worth it, right? It's just too much, right? Or if you want to pay the same amount of currency, then you can get a 600 DPS for, right? That's a 20% damage up. It will, of course, vary and matter as well the size of the implicit, but you can always go for the implicits. Not always, but you can sometimes go for the implicits in the item as an explicit as well, in the case of Gemini Bow. Yeah, so try to dodge buying overhyped stuff, right? Because they are extremely expensive. I just demonstrated, right? 500 DPS bow for 1 divine, 500 DPS Gemini bow for 15 divine, right? That's a lot of overpaying. I didn't expect at that level. I was expecting like 6 8 maybe. Yeah, 15 is a bit much. So yeah, guys, I hope this video will help some of you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.